Along Virginia's winding roads, history sleeps uneasily. Battlefields stretch across rolling hills, silent during the day. But at night, the past awakens. Travelers report hearing drums echoing through the trees, though no soldiers march. Shadows move across empty fields, disappearing when approached. Figures appear along the roadsides, dressed in tattered uniforms, their eyes hollow, their faces etched with sorrow. Some have felt cold hands brush their arms, though the air is still. Locals whisper of soldiers who never left, doomed to relive their final moments. Tonight, we travel along Virginia's haunted battlefield roads, where echoes of war remain, and the drums of the past never truly stop. Hello, my dear friend. I hope you are safe tonight, because what we are about to explore is not for the faint of heart. Virginia's battlefields are beautiful in sunlight, yet they carry stories of blood, fear, and sorrow. The roads that wind through these lands have been witnesses to centuries of violence. Some visitors hear drums pounding softly in the night, growing louder with no source. Some see figures in the distance, marching or standing silently, watching those who pass. Whispers float across empty fields, carrying names, orders, or warnings. The roads themselves seem alive, imbued with the memories of those who died here. Before we step closer, I have a question for you. If you heard the sound of drums and felt unseen eyes watching you on a deserted road at midnight, would you follow the sound, or would you turn and run? Take a deep breath, my friend. Let us walk carefully along Virginia's haunted battlefield roads. Drumfield Road winds through rolling hills, its curves lined with ancient trees whose branches stretch across the path like skeletal arms. During the day, the road appears serene, bathed in sunlight and framed by the muted greens and golds of the surrounding landscape. Birds sing, leaves rustle in the wind, and the air feels calm, almost ordinary. But as night falls, Drumfield Road changes. The quiet is broken by the distant, unmistakable beat of drums, a rhythm that rises and falls like the pulse of something alive. The sound is hollow and echoing, carrying through the hills, drawing attention to shadows along the roadside. Travelers who walk the road after dark often describe a creeping tension, a feeling that they are not truly alone. Figures begin to appear at the edges of vision. Faces are hollow, eyes empty yet focused, and their movements are deliberate, as if caught between the past and the present. Some stop to stare at those who pass, disappearing into mist or fading behind trees when approached. The sight is brief but unmistakable, leaving a lingering unease that can follow for miles. The woods beside Drumfield Road seem to hold secrets of their own. Whispers drift from the shadows, barely audible at first, then rising in intensity. Names are called, often the names of those who walk the road. Spoken in tones both urgent and sorrowful. The whispers seem to move with the wind, twisting and circling, creating the sense that the forest itself remembers the events that unfolded long ago. Locals speak in hushed tones about the history that haunts this road. Battles fought centuries past left their mark, the fallen soldiers unable to find rest. The fallen soldiers relive their final moments endlessly. Travelers sense it in the air, feel it in the chill that creeps over the skin even on warm nights. And hear it in the drumbeats that echo across the hills. The atmosphere of Drumfield Road is thick with anticipation. Every rustle of leaves, snap of a twig, and distant murmur seems magnified in the darkness. Moonlight filters through the branches, creating shifting patterns on the ground that resemble movement, or perhaps the shadows of those who march unseen. Some visitors swear the sound of boots striking the earth is perfectly synchronized with the drumbeats, reinforcing the impression of a ghostly army replaying history. Time feels distorted along the road. The rhythm of the drums. Sections of the road seem longer at night, as if the landscape itself is bending. Sounds repeat, figures reappear, and the air carries a weight. Drumfield Road is not only haunted by sights and sounds, but by presence itself. The energy of the fallen soldiers seems concentrated along the curves and bends, lingering where conflicts once raged. Shadows blend with the environment, sometimes forming distinct shapes, other times barely noticeable, leaving only an uneasy impression. Whispers grow more insistent in places where the history was most violent, urging travelers forward, warning them, or perhaps reminding them of what occurred. Walking the road is an experience that engages every sense. The beat of the drums can be felt as much as heard, resonating in the chest and deepening the sense of immersion. The smell of damp earth and the faint metallic tang of blood are sometimes reported, subtle yet unsettling. Movement along the roadside catches the eye, the peripheral vision betraying glimpses of figures who vanish when confronted. The combination of sound, sight, and sensation creates a powerful feeling that Drumfield Road is alive with the echoes of the past. Even after leaving, the impressions linger. Travelers speak of hearing drumbeats in their dreams, feeling cold fingers brush against their arms, or glimpsing figures at the edge of vision long after the night has ended. The road seems to follow them, a memory of conflict and loss etched into the mind as indelibly as it is into the hills themselves. Drumfield Road stands as a testament to the enduring power of history and memory. Its hills and trees, its winding curves and shadowed woods, all bear witness to battles fought and lives lost. The spirits that remain are not malevolent, but bound by circumstance and tragedy, replaying their final moments for anyone willing to walk the road at night. Every drumbeat is a reminder of the past, a connection between the living and those who came before, and a haunting invitation to witness history lingering in the present. Traveling Drumfield Road is an experience that transcends the ordinary. It is a place where echoes of human endeavor, courage, and loss persist. The march of soldiers, the whispering trees, the rhythmic drumbeats, and the chilling presence of the unseen combine to create a setting that is both captivating and unsettling. Drumfield Road is more than a path through hills. It is a corridor through memory. A reminder that some stories never end. And that the past continues to watch over the living in quiet, persistent ways. Every visitor who walks Drumfield Road carries a piece of its story with them. A subtle imprint of history and haunting. The night air, heavy with whispers and the sound of marching, leaves an indelible mark, ensuring that the memory of Drumfield Road and its restless spirits endures long after the travelers have moved on. Red clay road stretches through a landscape marked by history. Its narrow path cutting across fields where battles once raged. The ground here is rich with the memory of past conflicts. And the air carries a weight that visitors feel long before seeing anything unusual. The red soil seems almost to absorb sound. Yet paradoxically the faint rhythm of drums can be heard echoing through the trees and across open fields. As travelers advance, the drums grow louder, their cadence impossible to ignore. They do not belong to any living musician, yet each beat feels purposeful, as though signaling events that occurred long ago. The sound vibrates through the air, the earth, and the body, setting a tension that tightens with every step. Shadows stretch across the road, appearing at the edges of vision, sometimes moving, sometimes still, as if aware of those who walk among them. Figures manifest in the fields along the roadside, appearing briefly and then vanishing like smoke in the wind. Some seem to run, others stumble, falling as if caught in an invisible struggle. Their movements are urgent, chaotic, yet silent. The sight leaves an impression more felt than seen, a visceral sense that the ground remembers every cry, every clash of swords, every shout of command from long ago. Visitors have reported the feeling of cold hands grazing their shoulders, brief touches that send shivers down the spine. It is not a presence that confronts aggressively, but one that reminds those walking the road of the history beneath their feet. Each step seems heavier, the past pressing quietly, insistently, into the present. Travelers sense that lingering too long invites the full story of the road to reveal itself. Stopping to watch, some have said the scene unfolds in greater detail. The figures in the fields replay moments of the battle, the chaos, the fear, and the fleeting courage of those who once stood where the soil now lies still. The drums seem to synchronize with the actions of these apparitions, rising in volume as moments of intensity occur and fading during fleeting moments of silence. The reenactment is neither complete nor orderly, yet it conveys the essence of what happened, leaving a lasting impression on all who witness it. The atmosphere along Red Clay Road is heavy with contrast. Sunlight filters through trees in patches, illuminating the rich red of the earth. Yet the shadows between the fields seem almost thicker, imbued with memory. A gentle breeze carries the scent of damp soil and fallen leaves. But also hints of something older, something rooted in sorrow and struggle. Every element, the soil, the wind, the air, feels as if it participates in the story, contributing to an experience that is both natural and uncanny. Travelers describe a sense of rhythm that persists even after leaving the road. The echo of drums lingers in the mind. And the images of figures in the fields remain vivid, like impressions burned into memory. There is a quiet warning in this sensation. An understanding that history does not simply rest. It watches, it waits, and it communicates with those who come to witness it, reminding them that the past has a voice. And that voice can reach across centuries. Red Clay Road is more than a path through the countryside. It is a corridor between the living and the past. A place where time folds and memories manifest. The shadows, the cold touches, the echoing drums, and the fleeting figures are all part of an invisible narrative that continues to play out, indifferent to those who walk among it, yet perceptible to the attentive observer. Each visitor becomes part of the story, if only for a moment. And each step taken on the red earth is a step along a timeline of struggle and remembrance. The road invites reflection as much as it invites awe. Travelers often pause at the edges of fields, feeling the pulse of history beneath their feet. The sight of figures, the sound of drums, the brush of unseen hands all combine to create an atmosphere that is both haunting and profoundly moving. Red Clay Road reminds visitors that landscapes carry memory, and that places touched by human struggle do not easily forget. By the time the road ends, visitors carry with them more than just impressions of an old battlefield. They leave with the sense of having walked alongside echoes, having sensed the persistence of history in every step, and having glimpsed the intensity of a moment frozen in time yet continually replayed. Red Clay Road is a reminder that some roads never truly end, that some pasts remain alive, and that memory, like the soil itself, can hold the weight of centuries without faltering. Widow's Lane stretches quietly through rolling fields, its path lined with gnarled trees that seem to bow under an invisible weight. Named for the widows of soldiers long past, the road carries a lingering sorrow that has settled into the very soil. The air feels heavier here, thick with memories of grief and longing, as if the land itself remembers the losses it has witnessed. Travelers along the lane often report hearing distant drumming, faint and irregular, carried by the wind from nowhere and everywhere at once. The sound echoes across the fields, like a heartbeat of the past, steady yet haunting. Alongside it, soft cries rise and fall, almost human but distorted, like echoes of voices long gone. Some say the sounds grow louder as the sun dips toward the horizon, fading only with the approach of night. Figures appear along the roadside, fleeting and spectral. Ghostly women in long, old-fashioned dresses stand silently, their pale faces streaked with tears. Their presence is tangible, a weight pressing against the senses of anyone who passes. They do not move forward, but their presence is tangible, a weight pressing against the senses of anyone who passes. The figures seem lost in their own sorrow, endlessly awaiting news that will never come, a perpetual vigil along the empty fields. Shadows flicker across the landscape, moving unnaturally against the backdrop of grass and trees. Sometimes they appear as fleeting glimpses at the edge of vision, vanishing when one turns to look directly. At other times, they take on forms that hint at the pasta, an arm reaching out, a head bowed, a figure pacing slowly along the lane. The shadows do not threaten, but their presence is unsettling, as though the land itself is alive with memory and longing. The wind seems to carry more than sound along Widowa Lane. A chill follows travelers even on warm days, brushing against the skin like the soft touch of a hand. Whispers drift on the breeze, indistinct but persistent, weaving in and out of the trees and tall grass. Some hear their own names spoken quietly, while others catch fragments of sentences, promises, or pleas that never reach a clear conclusion. The trees lining the road lean toward one another as if sharing secrets, their branches forming darkened arches that sway in the wind. Light struggles to penetrate the canopy, casting moving shadows on the ground that seem to stretch and contract with a life of their own. Even in broad daylight, the atmosphere feels charged with anticipation, as though the past and present exist simultaneously in the lane's narrow corridor. Visitors often report sensations that cannot be explained. A sudden heaviness in the chest, a sense of being watched. Footsteps echoing behind when none should exist. Doors of abandoned houses nearby creak softly. The rustle of clothing can be heard without a body in sight. Every sound, every flicker of movement, reinforces the impression that time itself is distorted. Where the weight of history is both felt and heard. Locals speak of the widow's spirits lingering along the road, unable to leave the memories that bind them. Some claim the women appear only when one is alone, standing in the distance, staring silently toward the horizon. Their eyes seem to hold centuries of waiting, and those who look too long report an unshakable sadness pressing into their own hearts. Travelers are drawn to the lane by curiosity, but many leave with an indelible impression, aware that the sorrow here is real and enduring. Nightfall transforms the lane further. The wind carries colder whispers, and the shadows of the trees stretch longer, merging with the figures along the roadside. The faint drumming and soft cries intensify, wrapping the path in an otherworldly presence. A single traveler moving along the lane may feel surrounded by unseen observers. A sense of being encased within the history of loss that haunts every inch of the road. Even when leaving Widowa Lane. The memories linger. Travelers speak of glimpses in mirrors. Of hearing faint cries on quiet nights. The road, the widows, the shadows. They leave a mark, a reminder of sorrow that refuses to fade. It is a place of reflection and unease, where the past reaches across time, and grief becomes something visible, audible, and impossible to ignore. Widowa Lane remains a quiet testament to those who waited, hoped, and mourned. The shadows, whispers, and spectral figures preserve the memory of lives interrupted by loss. And visitors find themselves walking not just a road, but a corridor of history and emotion. Every sound, every flicker of light or movement, carries the weight of stories never fully told. And those who venture here are invited to witness the enduring presence of sorrow that refuses to leave. The lane stands as a haunting reminder that some losses are too profound to fade, and some waits are too long to end. The widow's spirits linger in the mist, among the trees, and along the path, ensuring that those who travel Widow's Lane remember that grief can be both silent and alive, shaping the landscape for all who pass. Iron Cross Road winds through rolling hills, a narrow ribbon of asphalt framed by dense trees and open fields. The sun glints off the asphalt. Wildflowers sway along the edges, yet there is an undercurrent of tension. A sense of being watched, a weight that presses lightly against the mind, even in the brightness of day. As night falls, the road transforms. Silence deepens, stretching across the hills like a living presence. Then, faintly at first, a rhythm emerges. Drums beat in perfect cadence, echoing through the hills with no source in sight. The sound is steady, insistent, and carries an uncanny familiarity, as if the earth itself remembers the marching of long-gone soldiers. The drums guide the imagination, conjuring shadows that move just beyond the tree line, figures marching in formation that vanish when approached. Along the roadside, travelers see forms that appear and disappear with the darkness. Some stand at the edge of the fields, pointing toward the woods or distant hills. Their gestures seem purposeful, yet cryptic, inviting attention while warning intruders to proceed with caution. Figures dressed in tattered uniforms glide across the landscape, their outlines flickering in the moonlight, revealing glimpses of faces etched with resolve, fear, and determination. Revealing glimpses of faces etched with resolve, fear, and determination. The air grows dense with the echoes of the past. Smoky haze drifts across the fields as if battle has been resurrected. Shadows twist and stretch in patterns that hint at conflict and movement, flashes of struggle replaying in the quiet of the night. Flashes of struggle replaying in the quiet of the night. Travelers have reported brief glimpses of fallen soldiers, silhouetted against the dim glow of lanterns or the silver of the moon, caught in moments of duty, courage, and tragedy. Wind moves across the hills carrying faint sounds of orders shouted, horses stamping, and the clash of steel. The rhythm of the drums intertwines with these distant echoes, creating a tapestry of sound that is both disorienting and compelling. Some who linger describe an odd sensation of time bending, as if the past and present merge, letting them witness events that occurred decades or centuries ago. The road itself seems to pulse with memory, an invisible energy that remembers every step, every command, and every loss. The landscape plays tricks on perception. Shadows lengthen unnaturally. Shapes appear at the edge of vision. Trees sway as though moving with unseen forces. And the ground beneath the tires seems to whisper. With echoes of marching boots. Travelers report a cold that carries the weight of history. Chilling the body while sharpening the mind. Heightening every sense and amplifying the uncanny presence of those who once walked this road. Iron Cross Road has a storied history. It was the site of numerous skirmishes during historic conflicts. Where soldiers fought and fell, their stories etched into the soil. Over time, the living departed, yet the memories persisted. Witnesses claim that the spirits of those who fell remain, bound to the landscape, retracing their steps in a spectral parade. The road itself becomes a vessel for these echoes, a corridor connecting the present to the past in a way that is both haunting and mesmerizing. Some travelers report objects moving inexplicably along the roadside. Rocks shift positions, branches sway though untouched by wind. And lanterns appear to ignite and extinguish without cause. The effects are subtle but cumulative, creating a sense that the road and its surroundings are alive. Responsive to the presence of outsiders. Visitors often experience a feeling of being part of the landscape. As if their footsteps have become a temporary element in a scene that has repeated for decades. The night deepens, and the experience intensifies. The rhythm of the drums becomes more insistent. Echoing off the hills with clarity that makes the hairs on the back of the neck rise. Figures become more defined, shadows stretch into the distance. And the faint smoke of imagined fires drifts across the fields. Travelers report the sensation of being observed from multiple angles. Of distant eyes tracking movement, assessing intentions. And silently communicating through gesture and presence. Even brief stops along Iron Cross Road leave a lasting impression. Visitors describe dreams filled with marching formations. Flickering shadows. And the echo of drums long after they have left the hills behind. The imagery lingers, replaying in memory. As if the road itself has etched its story into the consciousness. Each return visit reinforces the sense of connection between the living and the past. A reminder that some places preserve memory more vividly than books or monuments ever could. The imagery lingers, replaying in memory, as if the road itself has etched its story into the consciousness. Each return visit reinforces the sense of connection between the living and the past. A reminder that some places preserve memory more vividly than books or monuments ever could. Locals offer cautious warnings. The road is not dangerous in the conventional sense, yet it carries a weight that can be unsettling. Those who wander too far after dark often feel compelled to leave, guided by subtle gestures, whispers or sudden movements in the shadows. The experience is personal and subjective, yet consistent patterns emerge, leaving no doubt that the past has left a tangible presence here. Iron Cross Road remains as it has for generations, a silent witness to history and a living memory of those who fell. The hills absorb the whispers, the fields echo the drumming, and the shadows continue to move between the trees. Every night, travelers passing this road may glimpse the past in fragments, encounter echoes of courage and loss, and sense the invisible hand of history guiding their steps. The road endures, a corridor of memory where the living and the dead coexist, where silence is charged with echoes, and where the landscape itself remembers the soldiers who once walked, marched, and fell. Where the landscape itself remembers the soldiers who once walked, marched, and fell. Travelers who approach find more than a roada. They encounter a story etched into the hills, a haunting performance that plays endlessly under the moon, and a reminder that some memories are too powerful to fade, bound forever to the land and the whispers of Iron Cross Road. A reminder that some memories are too powerful to fade, bound forever to the land and the whispers of Iron Cross Road. Bloodstone Path stretches through rolling hills where history has left its mark in ways both visible and unseen. During the day, the path appears quiet and unassuming, lined with trees whose branches sway gently in the wind. Sunlight filters through leaves, illuminating patches of wildflowers and grass, creating an almost peaceful scene. Yet the calm is deceptive, a fragile veil over centuries of echoes that refuse to fade. As night falls, the path transforms. The silence is broken by the distant beat of drums, faint at first, then rising and falling unpredictably. The rhythm is neither constant nor predictable, shifting as if responding to unseen forces. Travelers walking Bloodstone Path after dark report a sensation of being watched, a weight in the air that cannot be explained. The sounds of drumming carry across the hills, bouncing from trees to rocks, amplifying the sense that the past is very much alive. Figures begin to appear along the edges of the road, glimpsed just beyond the reach of light. They kneel, fall, or stumble, as though reenacting wounds sustained long ago. Faces are obscured in shadow, yet the anguish is palpable. Some seem unaware of the living, trapped in moments of pain and struggle that never truly end. Their presence is fleeting, vanishing when approached, leaving only the echo of movement and the lingering sense of sorrow. The open fields surrounding the path amplify every sound. Whispers drift with the wind, carrying warnings and fragmented voices. The words are unintelligible at times, yet the tone is unmistakable, urgent and sorrowful, urging travelers to turn back. Even the bravest find themselves hesitant, unsure whether the voices belong to spirits or are the Minda's response to the oppressive atmosphere. Locals speak cautiously of Bloodstone Path, describing it as cursed. Those who linger are said to feel a change, a heaviness that follows them long after they leave. Travelers report dreams filled with the path's echoes, the drums replaying in their minds. Figures appearing at the periphery of vision, and whispers repeating in sleepless nights. The land seems to imprint itself upon those who walk it, ensuring that the memory of Bloodstone Path is never truly left behind. The terrain itself carries the weight of history. Rocks and uneven ground hint at scars left by battles fought long ago. The trees bear the marks of time and turmoil, gnarled branches reaching across the path like warning hands. Fog often rolls in without warning, obscuring the road and reducing visibility to mere feet. Within the mist, the spectral figures appear more clearly, their movements eerily synchronized with the drumbeats that echo through the night. Sound is the Patha's most potent haunting. Drums reverberate in ways that seem impossible, appearing closer or further away with no logical source. The combination creates a sense of disorientation, as though the path itself has become a living entity, replaying its violent past for anyone daring enough to traverse it. Even the slightest snap of a twig or rustle of leaves can trigger the impression of soldiers moving through the trees, endlessly marching and falling in silence. Travelers often experience an unsettling sensation of being touched, though no one is there. A brush of wind across the arm feels like a hand. A shadow flickers in the corner of the eye, disappearing when looked at directly. The boundary between the living and the spirits of the past becomes blurred along Bloodstone Path, leaving a lasting impression that cannot be dismissed. The path is a testament to endurance and memory. Each drumbeat, each whisper, and each fleeting figure preserves a story of courage, loss, and anguish. Visitors feel it in the weight of the air, in the cold bite of night, and in the oppressive stillness that follows. The experience is both mesmerizing and disquieting, a reminder that some histories refuse to fade quietly, and that the land itself may be haunted by what once occurred upon it. Those who walk Bloodstone Path often carry its presence long after leaving. Dreams echo with drumbeats, and glimpses of shadowy figures linger in peripheral vision. The whispers sometimes continue in the quiet moments of daily life. Subtle reminders that the past remains, persistent and unyielding. Locals caution against lingering, insisting that the path changes those who stay too long, leaving a part of the spirit behind, forever bound to the echoes of battle and the restless souls that inhabit the road. Bloodstone Path is not merely a road through the hills. It is a corridor of memory, a space where history asserts itself in ways both visible and invisible. For those who travel it, the experience is unforgettable, leaving a haunting awareness that some paths are never empty, and that some stories are destined to echo endlessly across time and space. The path's haunting presence serves as a reminder that the earth remembers. Bloodstone Path continues to replay its history for anyone willing to walk its course, carrying the weight of countless lives, the drumbeats of conflict, and the whispers of spirits bound to the land. Every traveler leaves with a memory of the past, a connection to those who came before, and an understanding that some places never truly let go of those who passed through. The earth remembers, a connection to those who came before, and an understanding that some places never truly let go of those who passed through. The earth remembers, a connection to those who came before, and an understanding that some places never truly let go of those who passed through. The path's haunting presence serves as a reminder that the earth remembers. Bloodstone Path continues to replay its history for anyone willing to walk its course, carrying the weight of countless lives, the drumbeats of conflict, and the whispers of spirits bound to the land. Every traveler leaves with a memory of the past, a connection to those who came before, and an understanding that some places never truly let go of those who passed through. The earth remembers, a connection to those who came before, and an understanding that some places never truly let go of those who passed through. The path's haunting presence serves as a reminder that the earth remembers. Bloodstone Path continues to replay its history for anyone willing to walk its course, carrying the weight of countless lives. The drumbeats of conflict. And the whispers of spirits bound to the land. Every traveler leaves with a memory of the past, a connection to those who came before, and an understanding that some places never truly let go of those who passed through. The earth remembers, a connection to those who came before, and an understanding that some places never truly let go of those who passed through. The path's haunting presence serves as a reminder that the earth remembers. Soldiers' End Road winds quietly through fields once filled with tents, campfires, and the voices of men preparing for battle. The landscape seems peaceful by day, yet visitors often sense the weight of history pressing down, as if the land itself remembers the lives that passed through here. The air is thick with a stillness that feels deliberate, and the wind carries a chill that seeps deep into the bones. As travelers walk the narrow path, the faint sound of drums can be heard echoing through the trees. The rhythm is steady, measured, impossible to ignore, yet no one appears to play them. The beats resonate in the chest, vibrating through the earth, and draw attention to the shadows that stretch along the roadside. It is as though the road itself hums with memory, keeping alive the cadence of a time long past. Figures emerge at the edges of vision, dressed in tattered uniforms. They appear momentarily, pacing along the roadside or kneeling in silent prayer, before fading into the air. Their movements are deliberate, solemn, and heavy with purpose. Some seem to march with invisible orders, while others kneel in a stillness that defies time. Every glimpse feels like witnessing a fragment of history frozen yet endlessly repeated. Visitors often report the sensation of cold touches brushing their arms or shoulders, fleeting yet unmistakable. Shadows flit across the fields, forming shapes that vanish before they can be fully recognized. It is a subtle, pervasive presence, a reminder that the land is never truly empty. Each step along Soldiers' End Road feels measured against the rhythm of these echoes, as if the spirits themselves are aware of every movement. The landscape alternates between quiet fields and patches of dense trees, where sunlight filters through in broken streaks. The interplay of light and shadow seems almost purposeful, highlighting moments where the past and present intersect. The air carries scents of earth and frost, mingled with an intangible weight. A reminder that the land was once alive, with the sounds and energy of countless soldiers. Travelers speak of a feeling of being watched, a sense that the soldiers who died here continue to guard the land. Their vigilance is silent but persistent, an invisible line of defense that stretches across the road and fields. The experience is not threatening, but it is undeniable, leaving visitors with the sensation that this is sacred ground, held in perpetual vigilance by those who cannot leave. Stopping along the roadside, some have reported seeing more. Figures gather around imagined fires, heads bowed, hands raised in silent contemplation. Other apparitions seem caught in moments of preparation, adjusting uniforms, cleaning weapons, or exchanging orders. The scenes are brief, like glimpses through a thin veil of time, but they linger in the mind, imprinting a sense of solemnity and respect for what was endured here. Soldiera South End Road is more than a path, it is a corridor through memory. The rhythm of drums, the fleeting figures, the cold touches, and the shadows all create an atmosphere thick with history. Travelers cannot help but feel the weight of those who came before, a reminder that sacrifice and duty leave traces that linger far beyond life. Every step carries a sense of reverence, every sound seems amplified by centuries of memory embedded in the soil. By the time the road curves toward its end, visitors carry with them the echoes of the past. The drums, the figures in tattered uniforms, and the silent prayers remain vivid in the mind. Soldiera South End Road does not merely tell its history, it invites those who walk it to experience it. To sense the vigilance of those who gave their lives. And to understand that some presences are eternal. The journey along this road is quiet yet profound. Each visitor leaves with the knowledge that the land holds memory in a way that is both visible and invisible. The soldiers who walked here before have not gone. They remain, guardians of the past, stitched into the soil, watching, waiting, and keeping the spirit of their service alive for all who tread Soldiera South End Road. Red Banner Lane stretches through a landscape scarred by history, its path cutting across an old battlefield, where countless lives were lost. The road is narrow, bordered by gnarled trees whose branches reach toward one another as if shielding the lane from the world outside. A low mist often hangs over the ground, curling around the roots and stones, giving the impression that the past itself breathes along the road. Travelers walking or driving along Red Banner Lane report hearing drumbeats in the distance, steady and rhythmic, echoing across the fields where soldiers once marched. The sound seems to grow louder when one slows, each step drawing the listener deeper into the memory of conflict. Alongside the drumbeats, faint cries rise and fall, indistinct yet charged with urgency and sorrow, carried on the wind that seems colder here than anywhere else. Figures appear in the fog, their forms half hidden and wavering, as though struggling between this world and another. Faces are pale, eyes hollow, yet there is a sense of presence that cannot be ignored. They do not speak, but their movements are deliberate, marching in silent formations that echo the past battles. Some travelers report the feeling of being watched, a quiet tension pressing into their awareness as the shadows pass and fade into the mist. Along the roadside, ghostly banners can be seen waving, though the air is still and no wind stirs the fabric. The banners are tattered and faded, yet the colors seem to glow faintly, a spectral reminder of courage and duty. They appear and vanish with the fog, drifting above the grass as though held by unseen hands. At times, they seem to point the way forward, guiding travelers deeper into the lane, drawing them toward the heart of the battlefield that still resonates with history. The trees lining Red Banner Lane seem alive with memory. Their branches sway as though responding to sounds of the past, and the ground beneath the traveller's feet feels uneven. Each step on the lane carries the weight of the past, and visitors report a sense of time stretching and folding, where the present feels fragile against the presence of history. Some travelers experience sensations that cannot be explained. A sudden chill grips the shoulders, the hairs on the back of the neck rise. And a subtle pressure seems to brush past like the ghost of armor or the shadow of a fallen comrade. Occasionally, footsteps echo behind, distinct yet untraceable, following the pace of the traveler but disappearing when one turns to look. Every sound, every flicker of light, reinforces the idea that Red Banner Lane is more than a roada, it is a living corridor of memory. The fog along the lane carries whispers that rise and fade in rhythm with the drumbeats. They are not words in any language, yet they carry meaning, a sense of warning or encouragement. As though the spirits of soldiers are acknowledging the presence of those who walk among them. Some visitors hear their own names called softly, a reminder that they are trespassing in a place where the past remains active, vigilant, and unforgotten. As night falls, the atmosphere becomes heavier. Shadows stretch across the fields, merging with figures in the mist. The drumbeats grow more insistent, resonating with the heartbeat of anyone who pauses to listen. The banners wave more clearly in the darkness, glowing faintly like embers. A traveler moving along Red Banner Lane feels enveloped by history. Walking among those who fought and fell, unable to escape the resonance of courage that lingers in every step and every shadow. Even when leaving Red Banner Lane, the presence of the past lingers. Travelers describe glimpses of marching figures in mirrors. The road does not simply end, it imprints itself on memory, a reminder that some places carry their history with a force that is tangible, almost alive. Red Banner Lane is a testament to courage, loss, and endurance. The spirits of fallen soldiers, the echoing drumbeats, and the waving banners create a landscape where history breathes. guiding travelers through a corridor of memory that refuses to fade. It is a place of reflection and reverence, where the bravery of those who came before is preserved in every shadow. Whisper, and step along the narrow, mist-clad road. Walking Red Banner Lane is more than a journey through space. It is a journey through time, where the echoes of the past meet the present. In a haunting, beautiful, and unforgettable way. The spirits remain, vigilant and steadfast, ensuring that the courage that defined them endures. Marking the lane forever with the presence of lives that shaped the history of this land. Cannon Hill Road winds through gentle rises and wooded slopes, its surface marked by the passage of time. By day, it seems a peaceful route, flanked by trees and open fields. Sunlight filters through the leaves, casting shifting patterns across the asphalt. Yet beneath this calm lies the memory of battles long past, a history etched into the very earth. As evening falls, the road transforms. The quiet deepens, and travelers often report hearing sounds. Rhythmic drumming echoes faintly across the hills, steady and insistent. It is as though invisible soldiers march in formation, their boots keeping. The drum beats seem to resonate through the body, a low vibration that carries alongside fascination. Along the roadside, shadowed figures appear. They move in orderly lines, their forms blurred and indistinct, yet unmistakably human. They march without pause, disappearing if approached too closely, leaving only the lingering sense of presence behind. Some travelers report glimpsing flashes of uniformed figures, their outlines shimmering in the dim light as if caught between this world and the next. At times, distant flashes of fire punctuate the darkness. Smoke drifts across fields and through the trees, thin and ephemeral, vanishing before it reaches the road. Travelers hear muffled booms, the distant discharge of unseen artillery. These sounds arrive without origin, rolling over the hills in a pattern that mirrors historical battle formations. The air itself seems charged, thick with the weight of memory and the echoes of violence long since ended. Cannon Hill Road carries subtle signs of its violent history. The ground underfoot feels uneven, as if scarred by past conflict. Rocks along the roadside appear disturbed, shifted as though by unseen hands. The wind carries faint scents of gunpowder and smoke, fleeting but undeniable. Travelers often feel cold drafts even on warm nights, a chilling reminder that the past lingers in both sound and sensation. Figures on the road are sometimes glimpsed through trees or between ridges. Their movements are deliberate, almost ceremonial, yet their faces are obscured. Observers describe a sense of awareness in the spirits, a focused intent that is neither malevolent nor welcoming. They march to unseen commands, trapped in a cycle of repetition, replaying moments of duty, courage, and loss. Some visitors report auditory phenomena that defy explanation. Commands are shouted in tones that echo over the hills, sometimes in languages no longer spoken. Steps fall in sequence with the drum beats, precise and measured. The booms of cannon fire reverberate through the ground, synchronized with the rhythm of marching feet. Each sound, each movement, reinforces the sense that the landscape itself is alive with memory. The surrounding terrain contributes to the unnerving experience. Woods close to the road seem darker at night, forming tunnels of shadow where figures can appear and vanish without warning. Open fields offer no escape from the echoing drumming, leaving travelers exposed to the full weight of the auditory and visual phenomena. Locals tell stories of repeated sightings over generations. Some speak of travelers leaving the road at dawn, shaken but unharmed. Others claim that the spirits themselves are aware of those who pass through, subtly guiding, warning, or observing them. These encounters leave lasting impressions, embedding the memory of the road's spectral activity into the minds of those who experience it. Even brief pauses along Cannon Hill Road are enough to heighten awareness. Travelers describe the sensation of standing amidst echoes of a battle. As if time has thinned and allowed the past to seep into the present. Shadows stretch across the road. Drumbeats reverberate through the body. And distant flashes of fire light the hills in ghostly patterns. Each moment reinforces the haunting presence, creating an immersive experience that is both unsettling and mesmerizing. Night deepens, and the phenomena intensify. Drums grow louder in perception, cannon blasts seem nearer, and marching figures become more defined. Observers often feel the subtle pressure of unseen forces, a reminder that the past is active here. The road itself appears to pulse with memory, preserving moments of conflict and courage for any who are willing to witness them. Cannon Hill Road remains a corridor of remembrance, a living testament to the soldiers who fought and fell. Each night, the hills and fields replay fragments of history, allowing travelers a glimpse into the past. The march continues endlessly, the drumbeats persist, and the spectral figures move with unwavering dedication. Those who traverse this road do more than follow a path. They witness a performance of memory, history, and spirit. Cannon Hill Road is not merely a route through the hills, but a passage through time, where echoes of battle remain alive, and the soldiers of the past continue their eternal march, forever bound to the land they once defended. The road endures, a haunting blend of memory and presence. Each drumbeat, each flash of fire, and each shadowed figure reminds those who pass that history is never truly gone. It resides here, in the hills, in the echoes, and in the persistent, unyielding spirits of Cannon Hill Road. Phantom Ridge Road winds along the high ridges, cutting through hills that stretch into the horizon. By day, the road appears serene. The sun illuminates the rocky slopes and scattered trees, and the wind carries the scent of pine and earth. Travelers might notice the occasional deer or hear the rustle of leaves, but the road feels empty, unremarkable, and peaceful, almost inviting. As night falls, the atmosphere transforms. The calm gives way to a sense of anticipation, and the shadows stretch longer along the roadside. Travelers often report hearing drums rolling through the hills. At first, the sound is faint, distant, barely more than a vibration in the chest. Then it grows louder, echoing across valleys and ridges in a rhythm that feels both familiar and unsettling. The source is never clear, and yet the drums seem to follow, guiding or warning, impossible to ignore. Along the roadside, figures begin to appear. They stand at the edges of vision, sometimes pointing, sometimes gesturing silently. Their faces are hidden in shadows, and their presence is fleeting. Some vanish when approached, leaving only the sense that they had been there, watching, waiting, or perhaps trying to communicate a message lost to time. Others seem to move alongside travelers for short distances, never speaking, never breaking the quiet, yet their movements carry a weight that is impossible to ignore. The figure's presence is a harbinger of something ancient and malevolent. The silence is oppressive, weighing heavily on the shoulders of the travelers. The road itself seems to respond to those who travel it. Some feel icy hands graze their shoulders, light as a whisper but chilling to the bone. The sensation is fleeting, yet unmistakable, as if the ridge itself is urging movement, insisting that travelers continue forward along the winding path. The wind carries voices in hushed tones, barely audible, fragments of commands, warnings, and cries from long ago. These sounds rise and fall with the drums, adding a layer of unease to the journey. Phantom Ridge Road is not merely a road, it is a living memory. Every slope, every turn, every shadow seems to recall the skirmishes that once scarred this land. History lingers here, preserved in sound, movement, and sensation. The drums echo the cadence of battles long forgotten, the gestures of figures reflect the strategy and urgency of conflict, and the cold touch of unseen hands reminds travelers that the past remains, tethered to the ridge and unwilling to be silent. Travelers who linger too long often find themselves disoriented. And the hills shift subtly in appearance, and the familiar becomes strange. Mist creeps along the ridges without warning, reducing visibility to mere feet. The landscape becomes a stage where memory and reality intertwine. Each step a reminder that some events are never truly gone. Within this fog, the figures appear more vividly, moving with a deliberate rhythm that matches the rolling drums. The figures appear more vividly, moving with a deliberate rhythm that matches the rolling drums. Footsteps on the road are sometimes accompanied by phantom sounds of activity. The clash of weapons, distant calls, and muffled shouts emerge from the darkness, vanishing as quickly as they arrive. The drums maintain a constant presence, a heartbeat that seems to guide the living, while echoing the struggles of those who never left. Travelers feel the weight of countless stories pressing against the night. And even the quiet moments are tinged with the knowledge that unseen observers are never far away. Locals speak cautiously of Phantom Ridge Road, warning that the ridge carries the memory of skirmishes and the souls of those who perished. Some have returned from walks along the road changed, haunted by sights and sounds they cannot fully explain. The drums, the figures, the icy tuchesa, they leave impressions that endure long after the journey ends. Dreams replay the night's encounters, and glimpses of shadowy forms sometimes appear in ordinary settings, reminders that the Ridge's past is persistent and inescapable. The road is a testament to memory, endurance, and the persistence of what was. Every traveler who walks it becomes a witness to echoes of the past, a participant in a story that never concludes. The drums guide, the shadows warn, and the ridge itself holds the narrative of struggles that shaped the land. Even those who depart carry the experience with them, a lingering awareness that some roads are more than pathways, they are repositories of history, energy, and memory. Phantom Ridge Road stretches across the ridges, timeless and unyielding. Its drums, its figures, and its whispers form an atmosphere that is simultaneously captivating and unsettling. The road reminds travelers that the past is never truly buried, that memory can take shape in sound, movement, and touch. And that the ridge continues to honor and replay the events that defined it. Those who walk it will carry the story forward, part of a living history that endures in every shadow, every drumbeat, and every cold breath of wind. For those willing to traverse its length, Phantom Ridge Road offers an encounter with history that is immersive, inescapable, and unforgettable. The experience is not one of violence or terror in the conventional sense, but of understanding and witnessing the persistence of memory. The ridge keeps its stories alive, and the drums continue to roll, calling out across the hills, waiting for those who dare to listen. Widowmaker Road winds through rolling fields and dense woods, its path narrow and often shrouded in mist. By day, the landscape appears tranquil, but as night falls, the atmosphere changes, thickening with a sense of unseen presence. Travelers report a heavy stillness, as if the air itself is holding its breath, waiting. The road earned its name long ago, after countless soldiers and travelers perished along its path. Locals speak in hushed tones about the weight of sorrow that lingers here, a presence that does not fade with time. The ground seems to remember every footstep, every cry, carrying echoes of loss for those willing to listen. As night deepens, faint drumming begins to rise from the surrounding fields. The sound is steady, distant, yet unmistakable. Some travelers describe hearing whispers layered beneath the rhythm, words of warning carried through the mist. The voices are soft, barely audible, but they leave a lasting impression, stirring unease even in those who dismiss them as imagination. Figures begin to appear at the edges of sight, emerging from the fog. They are shadowy and indistinct, moving with a fluidity that seems unnatural. Some pace the fields, others linger near the trees, always just beyond reach. Travelers who attempt to approach find the figures vanish, leaving only a cold sensation where contact seemed possible. Occasionally, pale faces emerge from the mist, staring silently with hollow eyes. They are fleeting glimpses, moments that vanish when met with a steady gaze. The faces carry an expression of sorrow, a wordless warning of the dangers that claimed the lives of those who walked Widowmaker Road before. Many describe a sensation of being watched, as though unseen eyes are measuring every step. The terrain itself adds to the unease. Fog curls along the ground, hiding potholes and uneven earth. Travelers speak of sudden drops in temperature, a biting cold that seems to follow them along the path, lingering on skin and in breath. Locals caution that lingering too long on Widowmaker Road can bring an overwhelming sense of sorrow. The weight is subtle at first, a chill in the chest, a tightening in the shoulders. Then it grows, pressing on the mind, amplifying fear and reflection. Some report feeling unseen hands brush past them, fleeting touches that leave a lingering unease. Others feel as if the road itself is moving, guiding them towards something unknown, yet familiar to the spirits who remain. Sounds seem amplified in the fog. The crackle of fallen branches, the rustle of leaves, even distant animal calls are distorted, carrying an eerie rhythm that echoes the drumming from the fields. Travelers often find themselves pausing, uncertain of direction, caught between fear and fascination. Every step feels deliberate, as if the road itself tests endurance, challenging the living to comprehend the presence of those who have not moved on. The experience is immersive, more than simple haunting. More than simple haunting is a collision of memory, landscape, and the spectral remnants of lives lost. Shadowy figures, pale faces, whispers, and rhythmic drumming combine to create an environment where the past is tangible. Every footstep along Widowmaker Road reminds travelers of mortality and the persistence of sorrow. By the time the road stretches toward its end, visitors carry with them the echoes of what they have witnessed. The figures in the mist, the cold touches, and the haunting drumbeats remain etched in memory. Widowmaker Road does not merely recount its history, it invites those who travel it to feel the weight of centuries. To experience the sorrow that lingers, and to understand the presence of lives interrupted and never forgotten. The road is quiet now, but it is never empty. Even as travelers depart, the mist thickens. Figures return, and the drumming resonates. Widowmaker Road holds its secrets tightly. A testament to the lives claimed by its path and the spirits bound to it. Those who walk its length sense a connection beyond time. A presence that remains vigilant, observing, waiting, and reminding all who pass that some sorrows never fade. Walking Widowmaker Road is an encounter with history, memory, and the past, in ways that the past shape the present in ways both tangible and unseen. Battlecry Road stretches through a landscape etched with history. Its path flanked by ancient trees whose branches twist skyward, casting long shadows over the ground. The soil here is uneven, marked by scars of the past, and a low mist often clings to the undergrowth, curling around roots and stones like lingering memories. Travelers walking the road report hearing drumbeats echoing from nowhere. A steady cadence that seems to pulse with the heartbeat of the earth itself. The sound grows louder when one slows, filling the air with tension and drawing the mind into a realm where time and memory blend. The echoes carry through the trees and across the open fields, as if the battlefield itself remembers every movement, every cry, every moment of courage and fear. Figures sometimes appear along the path, dressed in old-fashioned military uniforms, marching in silence. Their forms are solid yet insubstantial, flickering in and out of perception. They move with purpose, but occasionally a soldier will fall, collapsing as if struck by invisible force. The air seems to tremble with these unseen impacts, a subtle vibration that brushes against the skin of those who walk nearby. Some travelers feel invisible hands tugging at their sleeves or shoulders, a sensation that is brief but unmistakable. It is as though the past itself reaches out, demanding acknowledgement. The wind carries distant shouts, unintelligible yet urgent, echoing through the trees and around bends in the road, leaving a lingering sense of unease that tightens the chest and sharpens the senses. Alongside the road, remnants of trenches and earthen mounds are visible, ghostly outlines in the mist. Every step along the path seems to press into history, awakening memories of battles fought and lives lost. The trees themselves bear witness, their gnarled trunks and broken branches forming a natural archive of sorrow and endurance. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the ground, shifting as if echoing the movements of soldiers long gone. The drumbeats and whispers of Battlecry Road do not follow a simple rhythm. They rise and fall unpredictably, sometimes accompanied by fleeting glimpses of figures who vanish when approached. Travelers describe a sense of being drawn into the reenactment of the past, where the present becomes secondary, and the battlefield replays endlessly before unseen eyes. It is a haunting performance, both solemn and relentless, where courage and despair coexist in the very air. Even in daylight, the road carries a tension that is palpable. Shadows seem to linger longer than they should, and the mist clings to travelers as though reluctant to let them leave. Some have reported the faint smell of gunpowder or the metallic tang of blood, sensations that vanish as soon as one attempts to trace their source. Every sight, sound, and scent contributes to a feeling that Battlecry Road is alive with memory, a corridor where the past refuses to rest. At dusk, the experience deepens. The forest around the road darkens, and the mist thickens, wrapping travelers in a cloak of uncertainty. Figures in uniform become more distinct, their marching more deliberate, and the drumbeats reverberate with a clarity that is almost physical. Shadows fall across the road in unnatural patterns, and the occasional tug on a sleeve reminds visitors that the past is not simply observada, it is felt. Locals tell stories of travelers who turned back too late, who felt the road pulling them forward through the echoes of battle. Some describe glimpsing soldiers frozen in mid-motion, eyes vacant yet focused, eternally replaying their final moments. Others report being followed by fleeting figures along the edges of vision, disappearing when attention is directed toward them. It is a place where history is both tangible and elusive, where every step is accompanied by the presence of those who cannot rest. Where every step is accompanied by the presence of those who cannot rest. Walking. Battlecry Road is an encounter with endurance, remembrance, reminders. Some carry history, ways cannot erased, manifests the itself, the of who, there, that, places, there, in, that, be, erased, memory, manifests, the landscape, the spirits, those lived there, continue there, vigil, and that some places carry their history in ways that cannot be erased, and memory manifests in the landscape itself, and the spirits of those who lived. As travelers leave, the sensations linger. The sound of distant drumbeats echoing in the mind. The fleeting outline of a figure in uniform. And the awareness that Battle Cry Road preserves the courage and sacrifice of those who walked it before. It is a road where history is experienced as a living presence. A solemn reminder of lives dedicated, moments lost, and the enduring echoes of bravery that refuse to fade. Ironwood Road stretches through dense forests, the trees so close together that sunlight rarely touches the ground. Shadows cling to the undergrowth, shifting and stretching in ways that seem unnatural. Even in the daytime, there is a feeling of anticipation, as if the forest itself is holding its breath. Travelers often report hearing rhythmic drumbeats that echo through the trees. The sound is steady, precise, and impossible to locate. Alongside the drumming, whispers follow visitors, soft voices that rise and fall as if carried by the wind. They seem to echo thoughts or repeat phrases too fleeting to understand. The sound is steady, precise, and impossible to locate. It carries across the road in perfect rhythm, filling the air with tension and unease. Alongside the drumming, whispers follow visitors, soft voices that rise and fall as if carried by the wind. They seem to echo thoughts or repeat phrases too fleeting to understand. Figures sometimes appear on the roadside or between the trees. Their forms are indistinct, cloaked in shadow, yet undeniably human. They move with intent, gesturing silently toward the forest or the road. Approaching them often causes them to vanish, leaving only the rustle of leaves and the sensation that someone has passed close by. Leaving only the rustle of leaves and the sensation that someone has passed close by. Flashes of light occasionally break through the darkness of the forest. They resemble musket fire or the glow of distant campfires, brief and startling. Illuminating the shapes of trees and the uneven ground for an instant before fading back into shadow. Observers have described the lights as both beautiful and terrifying. Moments where the past seems to brush against the present. Ironwood Road carries a history that is palpable. The soil and trees seem to remember, resonating with the presence of those who once traveled and fought here. These presences are not malevolent in the traditional sense, but they are persistent, a reminder that history is never fully gone. The road itself is narrow, winding between towering trees and thick undergrowth. Travelers often feel an almost physical pressure in the air, a heaviness that grows with each step. Footfalls echo differently here, sometimes amplified, sometimes swallowed entirely, adding to the sense that the forest watches and listens. The combination of shadows, whispers, and rhythmic drums makes even a short journey along Ironwood Road feel immersive and intense. During the night, the phenomena intensify. Shadows become more defined, moving in sync with the drumming that seems to come from all directions at once. The whispers grow clearer, occasionally forming discernible words or names. Those walking the road at this hour report a constant sense of being observed, as if the spirits of soldiers and followers are following silently, ensuring that the memory of their passage remains alive. The flashes of light at night often appear near the edge of the road or just within the tree line. These fleeting moments suggest that time itself bends along Ironwood Road, where past and present intersect. Campfires burn for a moment, soldiers aim rifles, and shadows march in formation before the light vanishes, leaving the viewer in complete darkness once more. These fleeting moments suggest that time itself bends along Ironwood Road, where past and present intersect. Travelers have described the forest as almost sentient, responding to their presence. A sudden hush can fall, leaves stop rustling, and even the wind seems to pause. At other times, sounds amplify unnaturally, footsteps echoing as if multiplied, drums intensifying. It is as if the road and its spirits are aware, interacting subtly with anyone who passes through, shaping the experience without revealing themselves fully. Locals speak of generations of sightings, passed down as warnings and tales. They say the spirits of soldiers remain to guard the memory of the conflicts fought here. While camp followers linger, tied to the daily routines of life during times of war. Both groups are said to be restless, replaying moments of triumph and hardship endlessly along the road. Visitors are advised to respect the path, move quietly, and avoid lingering too long, though curiosity often proves irresistible. Even a brief encounter leaves a lasting impression. Travelers describe the drumbeats reverberating in their chest long after leaving the road. Shadows seem to linger at the edges of vision, and whispers echo in memory, carrying the weight of untold stories. The sensation of the forest watching, of history actively pressing against the present, creates a feeling of awe and unease that cannot be replicated elsewhere. Ironwood Road remains a corridor of memory and presence. Where the drumming, the whispers, the fleeting figures, and the flashes of light serve as reminders that the events of long ago have left an indelible mark. Here, history walks alongside the living, unseen yet ever present. And travelers who pass through become witnesses to the stories that refuse to fade. As dawn approaches, the sounds subside and shadows retreat. The trees hold the memory of those who came before. The drumbeats linger in the mind. And the whispers continue to follow in imagination. Ironwood Road endures as a place where the past is alive. A haunting landscape that captures the attention, the fear and the fascination of all who dare to travel its length. Crossfire Lane winds quietly through a valley that seems ordinary by day. The slopes rise on either side, lined with trees that sway gently in the wind. Sunlight glints off rocks and streams, and the lane appears peaceful, even inviting. Travelers passing through might feel the calm settle over them, unaware of the history embedded in the earth beneath their feet. As evening falls, the lane transforms. Shadows stretch across the ground, shifting with every gust of wind. Travelers report hearing drumbeats echoing faintly through the valley, carrying an almost hypnotic rhythm. Alongside the drums, distant shouts can sometimes be heard, carried on the breeze, fleeting and indistinct. They rise and fall, as though replaying fragments of events that occurred long ago, impossible to fully comprehend yet impossible to ignore. Figures emerge in the corners of vision. Some appear kneeling, heads bowed in silent remembrance. Others march along the lane, their movements deliberate, pacing with a purpose. Their movements feel both urgent and sorrowful. Approaching these forms is futile, for they vanish when confronted, leaving only a sense of presence, an awareness that the lane holds watchers who never left. The air grows colder as night deepens. Travelers speak of sudden chills, brushing along skin like icy fingers. It is as though the valley itself observes, every tree, every rock, every shadow turned toward those who tread its path. The weight of unseen eyes is palpable, a reminder that Crossfire Lane is no ordinary road, but a corridor where memory lingers in physical form. Along the lane, the wind carries echoes of conversations long silenced. Commands, cries, and whispers intermingle with the steady drumbeats, forming a haunting symphony that seems to play just beyond hearing. Fleeting sounds of movement punctuate the rhythm, catching the traveler's attention. Travelers feel caught between past and present, suspended in a space where history refuses to remain buried. Crossfire Lane is more than a location, it is a repository of the fallen. Those who perished without recognition seem to inhabit the shadows. Their presence etched into the valley. Figures kneeling appear to honor comrades. Marching specters retrace steps of strategic advance. And every echo serves as a testament to lives cut short, to struggles fought and forgotten. The land itself seems to remember, pressing the memory into the soil, the trees, and the very air that drifts across the lane. Those who linger too long report disorientation. The landscape shifts subtly. The drum beats seem to surround travelers. The figures feel closer, almost tangible, though they remain just out of reach. Footsteps on the lane are sometimes accompanied by the sounds of activity that no longer exists. The clash of metal, the shuffle of movement, the calls of soldiers. Long gone all emerge and fade, leaving only the memory of sound hanging in the cold night air. Travelers sense that these are not random noises, but fragments of moments preserved, looping endlessly. In this haunted corridor, locals speak cautiously of Crossfire Lane. They warn that the valley holds the echoes of those who fell without honor or recognition, spirits bound to the site of their final struggles. Many who traverse the lane carry the experience with them, sensing the lingering presence in dreams and fleeting moments long after they have left the valley. The drum beats, the whispers, the cold brush of unseen hands, they leave impressions that endure, subtle but unshakable. The lane stretches through the valley, timeless and unyielding. Every turn, every shadow, every sound seems charged with memory. Travelers become witnesses to events long past, participants in a story that refuses to end. The land preserves the echoes of its history, and every passerby becomes part of the ongoing narrative, an observer caught between what was and what persists. Crossfire Lane reminds all who walk it that some places are more than pathways. They are vessels of memory, guardians of history, and keepers of the departed. The drumbeats continue to echo, the figures remain in shadow, and the whispers drift across the valley, waiting for those willing to listen. The lane endures, a living testament to the past, and those who travel it carry its story forward, bound by the haunting presence of those who fell and never truly left. Redcoat Hollow Road winds gently through rolling hills, its path lined with grasses that sway softly in the daylight. But as the sun sinks and shadows lengthen, the atmosphere changes, thickening with a sense of presence that is both palpable and unsettling. As darkness falls, faint drumbeats begin to echo across the landscape. At first, they are subtle, like distant thunder, but soon the rhythm grows clearer, steady, and deliberate. Travelers describe the sound as almost hypnotic, a cadence that seems to draw them deeper into the hills. Beneath the drumbeats, whispers drift through the air, voices carrying names, commands, and orders long forgotten. They are soft at first, almost imperceptible, yet they linger in the mind, persistent and haunting. Figures appear within the mist, emerging gradually from the folds of fog that cling to the hillsides. They are dressed in uniforms, their forms silhouetted against the pale light of the moon. Some march with careful precision, while others seem frozen in place, locked in the final moments of action long past. The figures are elusive, vanishing when approached, leaving only the faint rustle of fabric or the echo of a footstep behind. The landscape itself seems to shift in response to the presence of these figures. The trees sway as if in quiet acknowledgement, and the wind carries an eerie undertone, weaving together the drumbeats, whispers, and the soft creak of distant wood. Travelers report a sensation of being watched, a subtle pressure on the shoulders, as if unseen eyes measure every movement along the road. Locals speak cautiously of Redcoat Hollow Road, warning that the spirits of past battles remain. They say that those who died here are bound to the land, compelled to relive their final moments over and over again. The drumbeats are not merely sound, they are the heartbeat of a memory, echoing the intensity of conflict and the sorrow of lives cut short. The whispers carry both command and despair, blending the language of authority with the cries of the fallen. As travelers move along the road, the air grows colder, sharper, as if the land itself exhales the weight of history. Fog thickens along the path, obscuring vision and creating an intimate closeness between the living and the echoes of the dead. Some describe fleeting touches, cold brushes against the skin, sensations that vanish when investigated. Others feel a heaviness in the chest, a tightening that seems tied to the remembrance of suffering and loss. The experience along Redcoat Hollow Road is not linear. Time seems to stretch and compress, moments of quiet daylight giving way to the presence of a past that is perpetually alive. Figures appear, retreat, and reappear, each movement a fragment of history played out silently. Shadows fold into one another, and the whispering wind carries both names and fragments of orders. Travelers often pause, uncertain whether to continue or retreat, sensing that the road itself is a threshold between memory and the present. Sounds that are mundane by day take on a different quality at night. The rustle of grass, the distant call of an animal are amplified, carrying with them a rhythm that complements the drum beats and whispers. The road seems to guide the living into observation, to witness the interplay of history and spirit without interruption. Each step feels deliberate, a dance with echoes that are at once distant and immediate. By the time travelers reach the end of Redcoat Hollow Road, they carry with them a sense of the land's enduring memory. The drum beats, whispers, and silhouettes linger in the mind, leaving a trace of sorrow and reverence. The road is not merely a path through hills, it is a corridor through time, where the lives of those long gone continue to interact with the present. The spirits remain vigilant, watching, moving, and repeating, a testament to events that shaped the land and the lives that once walked it. Redcoat Hollow Road is a place of reflection, mystery, and quiet intensity. Its history is woven into the hills and trees, alive in the fog and the night air. Travelers who walk its length experience not just a road, but a living memory. A connection to those who came before, and a reminder that some echoes never fade. The road holds its stories tightly, offering passage to those willing to listen, observe, and feel the weight of history along its mist-laden path. Marching Grounds Road cuts across a wide, open plain, its surface uneven and worn by centuries of movement. The landscape is stark, punctuated by clusters of trees and low rises that cast long shadows when the sun dips toward the horizon. The air here seems different, carrying a tension that tightens the chest and slows the breath. Visitors walking the road often hear drums, faint at first, then growing louder as if responding to their presence. The beat is steady, deliberate, echoing across the plain, and it is joined by distant cries that seem to come from nowhere yet follow every step. The sounds are disorienting, creating the impression that the ground itself remembers every drill, every maneuver, and every loss that occurred here. Figures sometimes appear along the roadside. Some march in disciplined lines, their steps perfectly timed with the drumbeats, while others stumble or fall, motionless for a heartbeat before fading into the mist. Their uniforms are old-fashioned, sometimes flickering in detail, and their presence is both mesmerizing and unnerving. The air carries a subtle vibration, a reminder that the plain is not empty, that the past still moves among the living. Some travelers report flashes of light in the distance that resemble gunfire. The flashes are brief, illuminating shapes and outlines for a moment before vanishing again, leaving only shadows that seem to stretch and twist unnaturally. The experience is vivid yet elusive, a fleeting window into the history that refuses to remain buried. The road itself seems to carry the weight of the past. Those who linger often describe a sensation of being watched, the sense that unfinished business stretches beyond the veil of the present. Even in daylight, Marching Grounds Road retains a haunting presence. Shadows move with a life of their own, bending around trees and low hills in ways that defy logic. The drumbeats and cries can still be heard, mingling with the natural sounds of the wind and the rustle of grass. The plain becomes a living memory, where each element of the landscape is a reminder of what once was, and what continues to linger unseen. At dusk, the atmosphere intensifies. The sky darkens in hues of orange and purple, and the mist rises along the road, curling around stones and roots. Figures appear more distinctly, some marching in formation, others struggling to rise from the ground. The flashes of distant light become more pronounced, and travelers report feeling brief, sharp jolts of awareness, as though reality itself has thinned and allowed glimpses into another time. Locals speak of the road in hushed tones, warning that those who venture too far may feel the full weight of the plane's history. Some recount being tugged gently by invisible hands or hearing whispers that carry the names of those who died long ago. The whispers that carry the names of those who died long ago. The plane is said to hold memories that refuse to rest, replaying drills, charges, and struggles endlessly for anyone who enters its domain. Walking Marching Grounds Road is a journey through time and memory. Every step is accompanied by echoes of the past, from the steady drumbeats to the fleeting glimpses of soldiers in motion. The experience is immersive, a reminder that some places carry the residue of human endeavor and loss in ways that cannot be erased. Shadows, whispers, and flashes of light create a narrative that is felt as much as it is observed, drawing travelers into the relentless rhythm of history. As visitors leave the plain, the sensations often linger. The echoes of drums and cries remain in the mind. And the vision of marching figures fades only slowly. Marching Grounds Road is more than a path across land. It is a corridor where the past continues to move. Where the courage, fear, and determination of soldiers endure. And where the plain itself guards the memory of lives lived and battles fought. Silent Drums Road stretches across open fields, flanked by low hills and sparse trees. By day, it is quiet and unremarkable, the wind whispering through the grass and the occasional bird marking its presence. Yet at night, the road transforms, taking on a presence that cannot be explained. Travelers report hearing rhythmic drumbeats that seem to come from nowhere. The sound is steady and precise, echoing across the fields with a clarity that feels deliberate. It is impossible to locate, moving as though circling, approaching, and retreating in perfect synchronization. Those who hear it often describe a sensation of being watched, as though unseen eyes follow every step along the road. As though unseen eyes follow every step along the road. Figures sometimes appear on the roadside. Their forms are indistinct at first, shadowy outlines against the darkness. Some stand silently, observing anyone who passes, their faces hidden and unreadable. Others move with the precision of formation, marching or pacing in perfect rhythm with the drumbeats. Approaching them brings no recognition, as they vanish almost immediately, leaving the road empty and still once more. Whispers accompany the drums, drifting across the fields like smoke. Soft at first, they grow in clarity, carrying names and warnings. The voices do not speak to one another, but they reach out to those who walk the road, urging caution, respect, or retreat. The whispers fade as suddenly as they arrive, leaving travelers with the unsettling impression that they have crossed paths with those who are no longer alive. Locals tell stories passed down for generations, recounting battles fought long ago. Silent Drums Road is said to be watched by the spirits of fallen soldiers, eternally guarding the path where they once marched and fought. The drumbeats are believed to be their heartbeat, marking time for a duty that never ends, while the figures are remnants of formations, forever practicing for conflicts long past. The road itself seems to respond to movement. Footsteps feel heavier, echoes reverberate strangely. And the air grows dense with a chill that cannot be explained. Shadows shift and stretch unnaturally along the ground. Stretching long in the moonlight and disappearing when light moves in a different direction. Even those who walk with caution find themselves sensing an unseen presence. An awareness that follows each step. At times, travelers see flashes in the distance resembling campfires or sparks of musket fire. The light illuminates the field briefly, revealing silhouettes of soldiers frozen in mid-action. Some seem to be firing, others advancing, and still more standing in formation. Moments later, the light vanishes, leaving only darkness and the faint echo of the drumbeats. The phenomenon is not always consistent, yet it is persistent. Those who linger on Silent Drums Road often report a sense of time shifting, as though the past overlays the present. Minutes can stretch into hours, and ordinary sounds of nature are amplified or muffled in unusual ways. The environment itself seems alive with memory, holding on to the remnants of life and conflict that once occupied the space. Some visitors have attempted to follow the figures into the fields, hoping to reach them or understand their purpose. The figures always remain just out of reach, slipping through the shadows or vanishing entirely. The drumbeats continue regardless, steady and unbroken, as if unaffected by any intrusion. The whispers too remain, reinforcing the sense that the spirits here are bound to the road and to their eternal duty. The road is narrow, with low grasses and wildflowers swaying in the night wind. Trees along the edge cast long, flickering shadows, adding to the disorientation of those who traverse the path. The combination of darkness, echoes, whispers, and rhythmic sounds creates an atmosphere both beautiful and unsettling. Compelling yet cautionary. Every step becomes a negotiation with unseen forces. A reminder that history lingers where it was most intensely lived. Silent Drums Road is not merely a place but an experience. Travelers leave with a heightened awareness, carrying the memory of drumbeats and whispers in their minds long after they have returned to ordinary streets. Even those who pass during the day feel a lingering presence, as if the road remembers them and the souls who walk it at night, silently observing, endlessly vigilant. The field echoes, shadows shift, and the rhythmic drumming never ceases. Figures appear and disappear, whispers rise and fall. And the road endures as a living memorial to the past. It is a place where history is tangible. A place where the spirits of soldiers maintain their eternal vigil. And where every traveler becomes part of the story, however briefly. By dawn, the sounds fade and the road returns to its quiet daytime form. The fields are still, the shadows retreat. And only the faint memory of drumbeats lingers. Yet the night leaves an indelible mark. A reminder that Silent Drums Road never truly sleeps, and that those who fell here continue to guard it with unwavering presence. The road stretches onward, timeless and eternal, holding the echoes of battle and the spirits of those who cannot rest. For anyone who walks its length at night, it becomes clear that some places are not merely roads but passages between worlds. Where history, memory, and the supernatural converge in haunting rhythm. Drumfield Road stretches through a valley that has seen the passage of countless soldiers. The path appears ordinary, yet those who travel it sense a weight, an unspoken tension lingering in the air, as if the earth itself remembers the struggles that once took place here. As dusk falls, the atmosphere changes. A faint rhythm begins to echo through the valley, soft at first, then growing steadily. The beat of drums rolls across the fields, accompanied by muffled shouts that drift on the wind. They rise and fall, sometimes distant, sometimes startlingly close, as though the past is pressing against the present, seeking acknowledgement. As though the past is pressing against the present, seeking acknowledgement. Figures appear along the roadside, fleeting glimpses at first. Some kneel, bowed in quiet pain, their forms wavering like mist. Others march in formation, faces hidden by shadow. Their movements deliberate and measured. They seem trapped in moments long gone, repeating actions that history recorded but time could not erase. Approaching them is futile, for they vanish when confronted. Leaving only the memory of their presence and the lingering echo of footsteps on the earth. The valley grows colder as night deepens. Travelers speak of icy brushes against arms and shoulders, sudden chills that appear without warning. Shadows stretch unnaturally, flickering in the periphery, moving with intention yet defying logic. Every tree and stone seems to hold a story, every whisper of wind a fragment of lives cut short, battles fought, and courage unrecognized. Drumfield Road is more than a passage through land, it is a corridor of memory. The fallen remain, bound to the earth, replaying the final moments of struggle. The shouts of commanders, the cries of soldiers, the clash of unseen forces all are preserved in the atmosphere, felt rather than fully seen. The land remembers, and those who traverse it cannot escape the weight of what remains. Travelers report disorientation as they move through the valley. Distances appear altered, hills taller, and shadows deeper than they should be. Fog can roll in without warning, dampening sound yet amplifying the presence of unseen figures. The drumbeats intensify, seeming to surround visitors from every side. Shouts echo from places that appear empty. Fleeting forms seem to reach out from the darkness, just beyond grasp. Sounds of movement accompany the drumbeats. The clatter of unseen armor. The shuffle of footsteps across grass and dirt. The occasional clang of distant metal. All merge into a haunting symphony. That tells the story of a battle that refuses to end. Travelers sense that the valley itself participates in this performance. Its hills and trees shaping sound and shadow to preserve the memory of those who fell. Locals speak cautiously about Drumfield Road. They warn that the spirits of soldiers who died here without recognition remain bound to the land. Their presence is not malicious, but persistent, and those who linger too long may feel the valley imprint itself upon their thoughts. Travelers often carry the experience with them, hearing whispers, sensing movement, or feeling chills long after leaving the road behind. The valley stretches endlessly, each turn of the road revealing another glimpse of the past. Figures appear, kneel, march, and vanish. Echoes of command, cries of pain, and distant drumbeats create a rhythm that never truly ceases. Drumfield Road becomes a liminal space where history refuses to rest, where the present intersects with events long concluded yet eternally preserved in memory. Every step along the road reinforces the sense of being watched. Of moving through a living archive of loss and courage. The experience is immersive, pressing upon travelers with a quiet insistence. Drumfield Road endures as both road and memorial. Its silence by day conceals the activity of night. Its calm landscape masks the presence of those who remain. The valley holds the echoes of lives lost, of battles fought and unfinished. Preserving them for anyone willing to listen and observe. Those who walk it become part of its narrative, a fleeting witness to a history that refuses to fade. The road reminds all who pass that some places carry memory as heavily as stone and soil. Drumfield Road bears the weight of countless lives. The rhythm of unseen drums. And the whispers of soldiers who fell without recognition. Its shadows and sounds are eternal. A testament to the past, waiting for those who travel it to notice, to feel, and to remember. Iron Drum Road stretches through rolling fields, its path bending and turning as it follows the contours of the land. By day, it appears tranquil, lined with trees and the remnants of stone walls that hint at long-forgotten battles. The wind moves gently through the grass, carrying the faint scent of earth and history, yet beneath this calm lies a presence that is impossible to see but impossible to ignore. As night falls, a different rhythm takes hold along the road. Faint drumbeats begin to echo across the fields, soft at first, almost like distant thunder. The sound swells and recedes unpredictably, growing louder one moment, fading the next, creating a cadence that seems alive and aware of those walking beneath it. Travelers describe the drums as both hypnotic and unsettling, a heartbeat that belongs to the land itself, a reminder that history lingers here in more than memory alone. Figures begin to emerge along the roadside. Some are barely visible in the shadows, moving with careful precision, while others stand still, their eyes fixed on points far beyond the present. Some are barely visible in the shadows, moving with careful precision, while others stand still, their eyes fixed on points far beyond the present. Some are barely visible in the shadows, moving with careful precision, while others stand still, their eyes fixed on points far beyond the present. Some are barely visible in the shadows, moving with careful precision, while others stand still, their eyes fixed on points far beyond the present. Approaching them proves impossible, as they vanish when confronted. Some are barely visible in the shadows, moving with careful precision, while others stand still, their eyes fixed on points far beyond the present. Approaching them proves impossible, as they vanish when confronted, leaving only a lingering chill in the air. The whispers arrive with the wind, drifting along the road in waves. Names are called, commands repeated, voices filled with urgency, and a weight that seems to press against the chest of those who hear them. They do not belong to the living, yet they feel immediate, as though the past itself has reached forward to speak. The echoes are fragmented, partial recollections of orders and cries, leaving the mind to reconstruct the invisible battle that still plays out here. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the fields. Trees appear to bend in acknowledgement of unseen movements, their branches trembling as if aware of the presence around them. Travelers often sense being watched, a cold awareness brushing along their skin, fleeting and intangible. Footsteps can be heard behind or beside them, yet when they turn, no one is there, only the road continuing its winding course through history and mist. Locals speak quietly of Iron Drum Road, warning that the soldiers who fell here did not rest in the earth alone. They remain tied to the land, bound by duty that death could not release. Their presence is neither malevolent nor benign, but constant, a reminder that some obligations are eternal. The drums, the whispers, and the shadows are part of their watch, guiding, warning, and repeating the patterns of battle that once shaped the fields. The air grows heavier as travelers move along, the rhythm of the drums influencing the pace of their steps. Time seems to bend here, moments stretch and compress, as though the road itself exists partially in another era. Shadows shift in ways that defy logic, and glimpses of figures appear and disappear in rhythm with the sound of invisible drums. The landscape becomes both familiar and alien, a bridge between the present and a past that refuses to fade. Sounds that would otherwise be ordinary take on new meaning at night. The rustle of grass becomes a footfall, the snap of a twig a warning, and the distant call of an animal echoes like a cry from those long gone. The road draws travelers forward, inviting observation, as if asking them to witness history as it continues, unseen but undeniable. Each step becomes a part of the experience, an interaction with the echoes of lives lived and lost along the roadside. By the time travelers reach the end of Iron Drum Road, the memory of it lingers long after the fields return to silence. The drums, whispers, and fleeting figures remain in the mind, leaving a sense of reverence and unease. The road is more than a path through the countryside. It is a living testament to those who remain bound to it. A reminder that some histories are carried not only in books or stones, but in the very air and soil beneath the feet of those who walk here. Iron Drum Road is a place where time, memory, and presence converge. Its drumbeats mark the pulse of the past. Its shadows preserve the shape of what once was, and its whispers call the living into silent recognition of duty unfinished. Travelers leave with the awareness that the land holds its stories tightly. That every turn of the road, every echo in the night, is a connection to those who came before. And that some spirits, bound by purpose, never truly leave. That cut deep into the earth, and the hollowed outlines of positions long abandoned. For the echoes of the past seem to linger in the air. Travelers walking this road often hear drumbeats, distant at first, faintly rising from the hollowed land. The rhythm is steady, almost hypnotic, echoing off the embankments and through the shadows of the trees. Occasionally, faint cries accompany the beat, carried on the wind, adding a chilling resonance that makes it impossible to ignore. The sounds feel alive, as if the trenches themselves remember every moment of struggle and fear that once occurred here. Figures sometimes appear in the shadows, their forms barely distinguishable from the darkness. Some move along the edges of the trees, pacing near the trenches as though surveying the land once defended. Others linger at the top of embankments, staring silently before vanishing when approached. Their presence is fleeting yet unmistakable, leaving behind a sense of being watched, and a cold awareness that history refuses to rest. Visitors often report sudden chills, as if icy hands brush against their arms or shoulders. The touch is brief, almost imperceptible, yet enough to cause a startle and an uneasy awareness of unseen companions. Some interpret it as a warning, a silent urging to leave before darkness deepens, though the road rarely offers easy escape. The wind shifts through the trenches carrying whispered remnants of commands, fears, and the unspoken stories of those who fell. The embankments and hollowed earth create a labyrinthine effect. Mist often settles low along the road, curling through the trenches and obscuring what lies ahead. Marching figures can sometimes be glimpsed, moving in patterns that suggest drills or defensive positions. These visions are incomplete, ephemeral, fading as quickly as they appear, leaving only the haunting impression of lives replayed in silence. The road itself seems to carry the weight of those who fought upon it. Every step taken resonates differently here, as though the ground is sensitive to presence and memory. Stones crunch more sharply, branches snap more distinctly, and the wind carries a hollow echo that seems to respond to movement. Travelers describe the sensation of being drawn into the rhythm of the past, compelled to witness and remember, even against their own instinct to flee. Compelled to witness and remember, even against their own instinct to flee. Even during the day, Trenchline Road retains its spectral atmosphere. Sunlight filtering through the trees casts long shadows across the trenches, creating forms that shift and bend as though alive. The drumbeats and whispers are softer but persistent, subtle reminders that the site is far from empty. The plain feels alive with memory, each depression in the earth a vessel holding echoes of fear, courage, and loss. At night, the presence becomes more intense. Mist thickens, swallowing the road and trenches in a gray haze. The drumbeats grow louder, the cries clearer, and the shadows more defined. Figures appear closer, their faces sometimes visible in fleeting moments, pale and tense with purpose. The cold touch of unseen hands becomes more distinct, a physical reminder that the past can reach into the present, and that the spirits of those who fell still linger, bound to the trenches where they fought. Locals speak cautiously of the road, warning that lingering too long can draw one into the past more deeply than anticipated. Some have left with the sensation of invisible eyes following their retreat, or with names whispered in the wind that they do not recognize. Trenchline Road is not merely a path across the landscape. It is a corridor of memory, a testament to sacrifice, and a reminder that some histories are never fully buried. Walking the road is to step into a living memory, where drumbeats and whispers guide travelers. Where drumbeats and whispers guide travelers through a landscape of shadow and mist. Every embankment, every trench, every shadowed tree holds a fragment of lives replayed endlessly. A narrative felt as much as it is seen. The road stretches onward, unchanging yet ever moving in its silent retelling of courage and loss. Travelers leave changed, carrying with them the weight of a past that refuses to fade, a solemn recognition that some places hold the echoes of the fallen forever. Phantom March Road winds across open fields, the earth beneath carrying a weight that seems impossible to see yet impossible to ignore. By day, the road appears calm and unremarkable, sunlight casting gentle shadows over grass and stone. Yet as dusk falls, an eerie stillness settles, and the air grows thick with anticipation. Travelers often report hearing the steady beat of drums, faint at first, then growing clearer as the wind shifts. The sound is relentless and precise, echoing across the fields as though an army is moving unseen. Alongside the drums, voices carry, issuing orders, calling names, or crying out in anguish. These sounds belong to no living presence, yet they feel tangible, pressing against those who walk the road as though history itself refuses to fade. Figures emerge along the roadside, their forms indistinct in the low light. Some march in perfect alignment, their movements synchronized with the drumbeats. Others kneel or bow, as if paying tribute to unseen fallen comrades. Approaching these figures is impossible, they dissolve into the shadows when anyone attempts to step closer, leaving only the echo of footsteps behind. Whispers drift across the land, soft yet insistent, threading through the rustling grass and the wind among the trees. Names are called with urgency, warnings are issued, and fragments of conversations long past echo in the mind. Travelers often report feeling watched, the sensation of unseen eyes tracking their every step, urging caution, compelling reflection, and stirring unease. Locals speak in hushed tones about the road and its history. The fields it crosses were once the site of a fierce and bloody conflict. A place where soldiers fell and their cries of fear and determination were carried into the night. It is said that the spirits of those who perished remain, bound to the land and the road, their presence replaying fragments of the past for those who dare to linger. The environment itself seems to participate in the haunting. Shadows stretch and twist unnaturally, dancing across the earth as the fading light shifts. The air carries a chill, not from temperature but from the lingering presence of memories too heavy to leave. Travelers describe flashes of light in the distance, brief illuminations resembling campfires, lanterns, or the glint of metal. In these moments, the field is alive with movement. Silhouettes of soldiers appear, advancing, retreating, or frozen mid-action, as though time itself has captured them and set them on a loop of eternal duty. The drumbeats and whispers continue, reinforcing the presence of a past that cannot be denied. Some who have walked Phantom March Road report a sensation of being drawn into the scene, witnessing events unfold as if invisible threads pull them closer. The air seems to thicken, and even the faintest sound of a footstep or rustling leaf is amplified, echoing with significance. These moments are fleeting yet intense, leaving travelers with a sense that they have glimpsed something beyond the ordinary. A reality that exists alongside the present yet apart from it. The road is narrow and bordered by uneven fields, low hills rising here and there to catch the light of dusk or moon. Trees and shrubs scatter along the edges, their branches swaying gently or unnaturally still depending on the breeze. The combination of shadows, whispers, drumbeats, and glimpsed figures creates an atmosphere of tension, curiosity, and reverence. Every step becomes a negotiation with history itself, a reminder that some places are more than landscapes, they are repositories of memory, emotion, and spirit. As night deepens, the drumbeats grow sharper, the figures clearer in the distance, and the whispers more insistent. Travelers who linger too long often feel the pull of the past, as though the road itself wants them to witness the events it holds. The spirits are patient, unyielding, and eternal, replaying moments of courage, fear, and resolve across the fields, ensuring that the memory of their lives and struggles endures. By morning, the road returns to its daytime guise. The fields are calm. The shadows retreat. And the drumbeats vanish with the wind. Yet those who walked the path carry the experience with them. A lingering awareness that Phantom March Road is never truly silent, and that the spirits it holds remain vigilant, replaying their march for anyone willinga or unwillinga to witness it. Phantom March Road is more than a path between 2 points. It is a corridor through time. It binds past and present, life and memory, the living and the departed. For those who dare to walk it at night, it offers a glimpse into history, a connection to souls who cannot rest, and a reminder that some echoes of the past are too powerful to fade completely. Even when the road seems quiet, even when the sun rises and the fields are empty, the presence remains. Drumbeats pulse beneath the surface, whispers linger in the breeze, and the figures wait patiently, silently marching. forever bound to the road that remembers them and calls out to anyone who dares to tread in their shadow. The land is alive with memory. The road is alive with presence. And the night keeps its vigil. Phantom March Road endures as a place where history is palpable. Where spirits linger. And where every traveler becomes part of the story, however briefly. Bloody Ridge Road stretches along a narrow ridge that has seen the march of countless soldiers. By day, it appears peaceful, flanked by weathered trees and the gentle slope of the hills. Sunlight washes over the stones and grass, creating an almost deceptive calm, masking the weight of history embedded in the land. As evening falls, the road transforms. A faint, distant sound, like drums carried by the wind. It is a cadence of battles long concluded, yet never truly ended. Figures begin to emerge along the edges of the road. Some march in place, rigid and deliberate, their faces hidden by shadow. Others fall to their knees or stumble as if wounded, frozen in moments of pain. They do not respond to movement or light, and any attempt to approach them results in their disappearance. Only the echo of their presence remains, lingering in the mind and in the rustle of the wind. Whispers drift across the ridge, carried in unseen currents. Commands once shouted across battlefields now ride the night air. The wind twists them, blending cries of courage with murmurs of fear. Travelers feel these whispers brush against their ears, urging them to move, to leave, or to witness the history that the ridge refuses to release. The terrain itself seems to participate in the haunting. Rocks and trees cast elongated shadows, shifting unnaturally as though reshaping themselves to preserve memory. Fog can roll in without warning, softening the world yet amplifying the presence of the unseen. The drumbeats intensify, and the whispers become sharper, more insistent. Every sound and movement feels deliberate, part of a pattern that repeats endlessly. Cold touches occasionally brush the arms of travelers. Fingers of frost-like chill seem to graze the skin, leaving goosebumps in their wake. Shadows stretch across the path, fleeting and ambiguous, sometimes forming shapes that resemble fallen soldiers or the faint outlines of cavalry. The road presses itself upon all who walk it, a corridor where past and present intersect, where the stories of the fallen are written in light, shadow, and sound. Locals speak cautiously of Bloody Ridge Road. They warn that those who linger too long risk becoming a part of its memory. The spirits of soldiers who fell here without recognition are said to remain bound to the ridge, compelled to relive their final moments. The land carries them, preserving the rhythm of battle and the weight of loss, imprinting it upon anyone who dares to walk in the dark. The spirits of soldiers who fell here without recognition are said to remain bound to the ridge, compelled to relive their final moments. The land carries them, preserving the rhythm of battle and the weight of loss, imprinting it upon anyone who dares to walk in the dark. The ridge itself bends and stretches, revealing new glimpses of history with every turn. Figures appear, fall, and march again, locked in a cycle that never ceases. The wind whispers names, cries of warning, and fragments of orders. Travelers report hearing these voices long after leaving the road, carried by memory or by some lingering presence that refuses to let go. Every step taken along Bloody Ridge Road reinforces the sensation of being watched, of moving through a living archive of courage and pain. Shadows shift at the periphery of vision, whispers swirl in the trees. And the drumbeats continue, steady and unyielding. The road becomes a liminal space where the past persists, demanding acknowledgement. And the living cannot help but witness it. The experience of walking the ridge is immersive. Distances feel altered, hills appear taller, and shadows stretch unnaturally. Fog can thicken in moments, softening edges yet sharpening perception. Figures seem to reach out from corners, silhouettes at the edge of sight, urging travelers onward or warning them away. The rhythm of unseen drums maintains its pulse, relentless and haunting, echoing through both valley and heart. Bloody Ridge Road endures as both path and memorial. Its calm by daylight conceals the activity of night. Its peaceful appearance masks the presence of spirits who remain. The ridge holds echoes of lives lost, battles fought and unfinished, and the relentless persistence of memory. Those who traverse it become witnesses to a history that refuses to rest. Carried away by whispers, shadows, and drumbeats long after the journey ends. The road reminds all who pass that some places retain memory as strongly as stone and soil. Bloody Ridge Road carries the weight of countless lives. The rhythm of relentless drums. And whispers of soldiers who fell without recognition. Its shadows and sounds are eternal. A testament to the past. Awaiting those who walk its path to notice. To feel, and to remember. Silent Sentinel Road stretches across a windswept plateau, its path tracing the contours of hills that once bore witness to fierce battles. By day, the road appears calm, lined with weathered stones and the occasional gnarled tree, standing as silent markers of history. Yet beneath this quiet surface, the presence of the past lingers, unseen but palpable, waiting for those who walk its length after dark. As night falls, the air grows heavy with anticipation. Travelers describe faint drumbeats, echoing across the plateau, soft at first, then rising and falling in a rhythm that seems almost alive. The sound is irregular, as if the drums themselves are responding to the footsteps of those who wander the road. Some say the beats are a warning, others a call, guiding the living through a land still claimed by those who have never left. Shadows begin to form along the roadside. Shadows move with purpose, some pacing slowly, others standing motionless. Figures appear in the corner of vision, only to vanish when observed directly. Leaving behind an icy chill that brushes the skin and quickens the heartbeat. The presence is neither threatening nor comforting, but insistent. A reminder that the past is not easily forgotten. Whispers drift through the air, carried by the wind across the plateau. Names are spoken, fragments of commands and messages, echoing faintly as though replaying conversations from a century past. Travelers feel watched, guided, and sometimes even touched by the intangible hands of those who once walked the same path, guarding the land they once fought to protect. The plateau itself seems alive in response. Trees sway without wind, their branches stretching like fingers toward the horizon. Rocks appear to shift in shadowed corners, forming shapes that suggest movement. Every sound is magnified, the snap of a twig, the rustle of grass, the soft scrape of boots along the dirt path. Each detail feels deliberate, part of a landscape infused with memory and purpose, as if the earth itself remembers the soldiers who remain bound to it. Figures in uniform appear intermittently, some pointing to places long abandoned, others standing silently as if on eternal watch. Their faces are pale and expressionless, yet their presence carries a weight that cannot be ignored. Travelers report sudden chills, like icy hands brushing against shoulders, leaving them startled and aware of the proximity of unseen guardians. There is a strange respect in the air, a sense that these spirits are observers rather than aggressors, watching and waiting for those who traverse the road after dark. The further one walks, the stronger the impression of history pressing close becomes. Time seems to fold in on itself, moments stretching and overlapping. The drum beats, whispers, and shifting shadows blend into a single, continuous presence that is both eerie and compelling. Each step feels as though it carries a part of the past forward, connecting the traveler to the countless lives and stories that unfolded here, lives that did not end with the battlefield but linger in a spectral watch over the land. Silent Sentinel Road is a passage through memory as much as geography. The drums mark the passage of unseen sentinels. The shadows preserve the forms of those who once served. And the whispers carry the fragmentary messages of soldiers still guarding their post. The road demands attention, encouraging travelers to observe, to feel, and to understand. To feel, and to understand the lingering weight of history pressed into every stone, tree, and gust of wind. Pressed into every stone, tree, and gust of wind. By the time the journey ends, the road has left an indelible impression. Travelers speak of figures that fade into mist. Whispers that echo long after departure. And the persistent rhythm of drums that seem to linger in the mind. Silent Sentinel Road is more than a route across a plateau. It is a living memorial, a corridor where the spirits of soldiers remain vigilant. Forever ensuring that the memory of their service and sacrifice endures. Walking this road, one comes to realize that some duties are eternal. The spirits are neither threatening nor forgiving, but steadfast in their vigil. Reminding all who pass that history is not simply remembered, it is lived and preserved in the land itself. Silent Sentinel Road holds its stories tightly, guiding those who traverse it with the quiet insistence of the past watching over the present. A sentinel that never sleeps. Echoing Drums Road stretches across a quiet plain, its path lined by weathered trees and low, rolling hills. The land seems still, almost deceptively calm, yet an underlying tension pervades the air. Travelers who venture here speak of a peculiar sound that follows them, a steady drumming that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. At first, the drum beats are faint, almost a suggestion carried on the wind. Then, as travelers continue along the road, the sound grows louder, resonating through the fields and echoing off distant hills. The source is never visible, and often the sound vanishes suddenly, leaving an uncanny silence that feels heavier than the noise itself. The rhythm is hypnotic, drawing attention, yet warning those who listen to remain alert. Figures sometimes emerge from the shadows at the roadside. They are rarely fully seen, often glimpsed as shapes moving in cadence with the drumming. Others kneel or bow, their gestures solemn, as if performing rituals long forgotten. Approaching them only causes them to fade into the darkness, leaving the observer with the impression of witnessing a memory rather than a living presence. The wind carries whispers across the fields, voices that seem to travel beyond comprehension. Some speak in unfamiliar words, phrases that visitors cannot identify, yet somehow they feel heavy with meaning. Others whisper names, perhaps of those who walked the land long ago. The effect is disorienting, as though the past itself is pressing against the present, reminding anyone who travels the road that they are not alone. The landscape contributes to the feeling of timelessness. Trees sway despite the lack of wind, their branches creaking like old timbers. Low mists rise from the fields in the evening, clinging to the road and obscuring distances. Shadows lengthen unnaturally, stretching across the path in ways that seem impossible. Every step taken feels both forward and backward, as though travelers are moving through layers of history rather than a simple road. At night, the experience intensifies. The drumbeats return, more insistent and closer than before. Shadows appear at intervals, sometimes marching in lines that vanish when the moonlight touches them. Figures are occasionally caught in the corner of the eye, pale and indistinct, yet their presence is undeniable. The cold seeps into the air, brushing against skin and clothing, a reminder of unseen forces surrounding the road. Locals speak cautiously of echoing Drums Road, warning that lingering too long can be unsettling. Some who have stopped to listen report feeling watched, a heavy awareness of unseen eyes following every movement. Others leave with the sensation that the road itself is alive, replaying events that occurred centuries before, preserving the echoes of those who walked it long ago. The whispers and drums seem to tell a story of conflict and loss. The land bears the weight of history, each sound and shadow a fragment of memory. Travelers sense the presence of soldiers whose lives ended here, trapped in the cycles of their final moments. Marching figures and kneeling forms appear to relive their duties endlessly, repeating gestures that were once purposeful and now serve only as echoes in the night. Even in the daylight, the road retains its strange quality. Shadows bend oddly. And the fields carry faint echoes of steps and murmurs. The rhythm of the drums is less pronounced, yet it lingers beneath the surface. Perceptible to those who listen closely. The land seems alive with recollection. And the silence itself carries a weight that ordinary roads never bear. Walking along echoing Drums Road is an immersive experience, where sound, shadow, and landscape converge to create a living memory. Each step places travelers among echoes of the past, each whisper and drumbeat a reminder that history endures beyond its own time. The spirits of the fallen are said to remain, their presence eternal, marking the road with traces of courage, fear, and unfinished business. Travelers leave the road changed, carrying with them a sense of something unseen yet profoundly real. Echoing Drums Road is not just a path across the land. It is a corridor where the stories of those long gone are never fully silenced. The drumming may fade, the whispers may cease. Yet the weight of the spirits remains. A lingering echo that follows anyone who dares to tread its length. Forgotten Battle Road winds through a narrow valley, flanked by hills that once bore witness to clashes of strategy, courage, and loss. The road appears serene, sunlight brushing over the worn stones and tall grass. The valley seems peaceful, almost untouched, yet beneath its calm surface, the echoes of history linger, waiting for those who dare to walk its path. Travelers often report faint sounds that defy explanation. Soft drumbeats rise and fall with the wind. Distant and persistent, as if an unseen army marches along the road. Occasional shouts pierce the quiet, carrying urgency, command, and despair. These sounds are elusive, fading as quickly as they arrive, leaving visitors with a lingering sense of unease and curiosity. Figures appear along the roadside, their forms half seen in the shadows. Some stand silently, observing travelers with intent. While others move as though retracing steps long ago taken. Occasionally, the outlines of old buildings reveal more figures at windows, frozen in place, watching, waiting. They vanish when approached, leaving only the whisper of movement behind. The air along Forgotten Battle Road is thick with presence. Travelers sometimes feel cold touches on their arms or sudden chills that seem to press against the skin. It is as though invisible hands brush by, a reminder that the past reaches forward, interacting with the present in subtle and unnerving ways. These sensations are fleeting yet powerful, impressing on those who feel them the weight of memory and loss embedded in the land. Locals speak cautiously of the road and its history. Generations ago, armies met here, battles were fought and lost. And the valley became a witness to both courage and tragedy. Those who perished left more than bones and echoes. Their presence lingers, tied to the road and its surroundings. Replaying fragments of their struggles for those willing to see and hear. As dusk settles, the atmosphere intensifies. Shadows lengthen, stretching across the valley floor. And the sound of drums becomes more insistent. Threading through the trees and hills. Whispered voices drift along the road. Calling names, issuing warnings, or recounting fragments of events long past. Travelers often feel the road itself is alive. Pressing subtly beneath their feet. Guiding or cautioning them as they move. Sightings along Forgotten Battle Road are not uncommon. Figures clad in period clothing appear fleetingly, moving along paths now overgrown, their presence fleeting but tangible. Some stand at the edge of the road, looking out over the valley as if recalling battles fought, while others vanish into the landscape before a second glance can confirm their form. Windows of abandoned buildings offer glimpses of shadows inside, shapes that seem frozen in mid-motion, as though history itself has paused for a moment to be observed. As though history itself has paused for a moment to be observed. The interplay of light and shadow enhances the sense of otherworldliness. Moonlight filters through the trees and clouds, casting shapes across the road that shift and dance. The combination of dim illumination, soft drumbeats, and whispered voices creates a vivid, immersive experience. drawing travelers into a past that feels close enough to touch. Many who walk the road describe moments of disorientation. The valley seems to stretch and contract, distances warping as the mind struggles to reconcile what is seen and heard with what is known. Time feels suspended, as though each step along the road connects directly with moments from centuries past. Travelers become witnesses to a living history, compelled to observe, reflect, and respect the forces that shaped the valley. Flashes of movement sometimes appear at the edge of vision. Shadows resembling soldiers cross fields, brief glimpses of formations in motion, or individuals kneeling as if in remembrance or surrender. The sounds of battle, faint but precise, accompany these visions, merging with the environment to create a sense of immediacy and immersion. It is impossible to distinguish between memory and reality, and that uncertainty deepens the mystery and fascination of forgotten Battle Road. The road is more than a path through the valley. It is a corridor through time, connecting the present with moments long past. Linking travelers with those who lived, fought, and fell here. Every stone, every tree, and every hill carries remnants of what transpired. And those who venture along the road experience an undeniable connection to the land and its history. Even when the day returns and the valley appears calm, the presence remains. Drumbeats may fade. Shadows retreat. And whispers grow distant. But the memory of those who walked and fought here persists. Travelers leave with an impression. That the road has observed them. That the spirits of the valley have acknowledged their passage. And that the history of forgotten Battle Road continues to unfold quietly. Beyond the perception of most. The valley holds its secrets patiently, replaying fragments of the past. Forgotten Battle Road is not just a path through the landscape. It is a bridge to a time when courage, fear, and fate intertwined. Those who walk its length become part of the story, even briefly. As witnesses to the endurance of memory and the haunting presence of lives once lived. By nightfall, the road falls silent, the valley calm, yet the essence of history endures. Every traveler who passes carries the subtle imprint of what occurred here, a reminder that some places never truly let go of the past. Forgotten Battle Road stands as a living testament, a path where echoes of battle, spirit, and memory remain vivid, awaiting the next visitor willing to walk through time. Eternal March Road stretches through rolling hills that have witnessed the weight of countless battles. By day, the road appears quiet, bordered by fields overgrown with wild grass and the faint traces of old trenches. Sunlight washes over the terrain, giving a false sense of calm, as if the events that transpired here were nothing more than memory. As night falls, the road transforms. A low drumbeat begins to echo through the hills, distant at first. Gradually, it grows louder, steady, and relentless. Whispers ride the wind, voices of soldiers long gone. Murmuring names, commands, and cries of fear. The atmosphere thickens, pressing upon all who traverse the path. As if the land itself remembers every footstep and every struggle. Figures begin to emerge along the roadside. Some march with military precision, uniforms tattered, faces hollow, eyes empty yet piercing. Others stumble or kneel, frozen in moments of injury and despair. That the fallen still walk in loops dictated by memory and unfinished duty. Flashes of smoke sometimes rise from the fields, revealing brief glimpses of battle. Shadows dart through the haze, forming shapes of soldiers, horses, and cannons. The air carries the faint scent of fire and iron, tangible enough to unsettle even the most seasoned traveler. Every step taken along the road is accompanied by a subtle tension, a sense that unseen eyes watch from both the darkness and the history embedded in the earth. The whispers are persistent. They call out in low, urgent tones. Sometimes repeating words or phrases that were once shouted across battlefields. Commands from long ago drift on the wind. mingling with cries of pain and the murmur of exhausted soldiers. Occasionally, the echoes feel personal, as if the spirits sense the presence of intruders and acknowledge them with fleeting attention. The road itself seems alive with memory. Trees sway even without wind, shadows shift across the terrain. And mist coils along the ground as if to hide or reveal the figures walking in silence. Travelers report feeling cold touches, icy brushes against their arms. The faint pressure of a hand or a uniform sleeve grazing the skin. It is as though the spirits attempt to guide, warn, or perhaps enlist the living into their endless march. Every turn of the road presents new sights. Figures appear and vanish with the flicker of moonlight. Smoke rises from nowhere, carrying the fleeting sound of musket fire or distant explosions. The ground underfoot feels uneven, as though the earth itself remembers the trampling of soldiers and the weight of their armor. Even the wind seems purposeful, rolling across the hills in patterns that follow the rhythm of the march. Locals speak cautiously of Eternal March Road. They warn that it is not merely haunted, but inhabited by forces bound to the memory of battle. Those who linger too long may feel themselves drawn into the cadence of drums, the whispers, and the shadows, becoming witnesses to the relentless cycle of memory and spirit. The road preserves the presence of those who fell, ensuring that their struggles, their last moments, and their endless march are never forgotten. The rhythm of drums continues unabated throughout the night. Smoke, shadows, and the faint scent of battle remain. Where the dead persist in echoes that never fade. Where the past and present blend together in an unholy union. Where the living and the dead coexist in a state of eerie symbiosis. Eternal March Road is more than a path, it is a living memorial. The hills, fields, and mists carry the imprints of every soldier who once traversed them in life and now walked them in spirit. Every heartbeat of the drum, every whisper in the wind, and every fleeting shadow is part of a cycle that continues without end. The road ensures that memory is not passive but active, a persistent presence that shapes the night for all who pass through. Those who walk the road often leave with a sense of awe and unease. The experience lingers, carried in the mind long after returning to daylight. Names, drumbeats, shadows, and whispers echo in memory. A reminder that some places retain history not in books or monuments, but in the very air, the very ground, and in the endless march of spirits who walk beneath the moon. Eternal March Road endures as a testament to lives lost, battles fought, and memories preserved. The road never rests, and neither do the souls who walk it. Drums, whispers, shadows, and the occasional flash of battle continue without pause. Travelers witness only a fragment of what exists, yet even that fragment is enough to understand the persistence of history, the weight of sacrifice, and the haunting truth that some echoes can never fade. Thank you, my dear friend, for walking the haunted battlefield roads of Virginia with me tonight. These roads carry the weight of history, sorrow, and restless spirits. Some travelers leave shaken. Some never return. And some feel the drums of the past follow them long after they have left the fields behind. If you ever find yourself alone on a deserted road at night, remember these tales. Listen for the distant drums, watch the shadows that move without bodies, and beware the whispers carried by the wind. Would you dare travel these haunted battlefield roads, or would you turn back and leave the past undisturbed? Rest well, my friend, until our next haunted journey.